I'm not exaggerating when I say that Lorde's 2017 album, Melodrama, changed my life. The profound and striking poetry of Lorde's lyrics, mixed with Jack Antonoff's groundbreaking production, changed the way that I think about music and what it's capable of doing and being. Melodrama has stuck with me for these past 3 years, and I only discover more of its genius the more I listen to it. Lorde isn't writing senseless, catchy party songs. She's creating a satire and a commentary about party culture from the most informed position, while participating in it. The world of Melodrama portrays the party world of 20-somethings as it really is, deeply profound and truly poetic. The party culture is a stage where youth is performed. Every night, young people leave themselves to put on new characters who do, say, and act differently than they do during the day. It's a performance complete with dialogue, costumes, and a plot arc that eventually must end when the morning comes. Lorde is in the middle of this performance while she's explaining it to the audience. It's an epic tale full of gore, glory, identity, love, and loss, which the audience experiences alongside Lorde. Melodrama by Lorde isn't a fun pop album about partying. It is symbolically and structurally an ancient Greek play. Let me show you why. Throughout Melodrama, we see the elements of ancient Greek theater, the invoking of the muse, the role of the chorus, and the discussion of moral questions that the audience is invited into. Let's start with Greenlight, the first song on the album. In ancient Greek theater and poetry, the story always begins with the invoking of the muse. For example, Homer's Odyssey begins with, "Speak memory of the cunning hero, the wanderer, blown off course time again, after he plundered Troy's sacred heights." The invoking of the muse sets up the scene and the characters, while also serving as a premonition of the entire story, and sometimes as a prayer for the inspiration to be able to tell that story. Greenlight serves this function. It sets up where Lorde currently is in the story, trying to let go after a breakup and not being able to, while also pleading for a change and hinting that the story will provide it. "I wish I could get my things and just let go." This is where the chorus shows up. In ancient Greek theater, the chorus were part of the performance while interacting with the audience. They explained and reacted to what was happening in the plot through song and dance, and helped the audience know how to feel about the story. Usually wearing masks and having no individual characters within the plot, the chorus acted almost as an emotional bridge between the audience and the performance, much like the gang vocals throughout Melodrama. Anytime there's an effect of a bunch of people singing together, this acts as the chorus. In Greenlight, the words that are sung with gang vocals are, "I'm waiting for it, that green light, I want it." Another thing the chorus does in Greek plays is give a voice to the Greek people, portraying moral and political issues they're currently dealing with, and how they interact with what's happening in the play. When the gang vocals sing, "I'm waiting for it, that green light, I want it," it's portraying both a premonition of the plot of the album, which is Lorde finding that green light and resolving the plot's conflict, while also portraying an emotion of the audience that interacts with the emotion of Lorde's character. Aren't we all waiting for a green light in some area of our lives, just like Lorde? Now that the scene is set, we can continue to the rest of the story. Sober and Homemade Dynamite are truly interesting songs that, while being straight up bangers, also reveal the continuation of the plot. As foretold and expressed in Greenlight, the whole narrative of the album is about Lorde getting to a place where she can move on from her relationship and from this season of her life that is a performance. She struggles through the album with who she is in the play and where the stage ends. Lorde is constantly in a state of self-awareness during her performance, acting as both the character and the chorus. Throughout Sober and Homemade Dynamite, she willingly performs an act she knows is deceptive, but hopes it will bring her to a higher understanding of her offstage reality. If art imitates life and life imitates art, Lorde and her party-going peers hope that engaging in this poetic performance will give them a revelation about who they are in reality and how reality works. Along with this, juxtaposing heavy poeticism with mindlessly casual phrases, Lorde eloquently displays the script of the party performance, primarily in these songs. "Let's let things come out of the woodwork, I'll give you my best side, tell you all my best lies." Yeah, awesome, right? In the chorus, she jumps between poetically telling the audience the truth, "Our dreams, our rules, we're blind," and participating in the performance of being mindless, blowing shit up with homemade dynamite. In the second verse, she juxtaposes the gorily poetic idea of a car crash with the eye roll of, "I guess we're partying." Might get your friend to drive, but he can hardly see. Will end up painted on the road, red and chrome, all the broken glass sparkling. I guess we're partying. This reminds me of the Greek play The Bacchae, in which the god Dionysus rallies up a fleet of women that go between ecstatic drinking and mercilessly tearing people apart limb for limb in Dionysus' plan to get revenge on the city for not worshipping him. In the Louvre, we get a sentimental montage of the next scene, ending in a further declaration of Lorde's self-awareness. I'm your sweetheart, psychopathic crush. Drink up your movement, still I can't get enough. I overthink your punctuation use. Not my fault, just a thing that my mind do. Along with nodding to the modern language of overthinking people's punctuation, Lorde recounts the violent rush of love in its haze, which distorts reality, but ultimately leaves her more aware of reality. But lover, you're the one to blame, all that you're doing. Can you hear the violence? Megaphone to my chest, broadcast the boom, 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 and make them all dance to it. A display of her authentic self, her beating heart, is used in the party performance as an instrument to drown out authenticity. Lorde is aware of the violence of youth, the violence of the world of partying that swallows the most true and real things in an attempt to discover a higher truth and a better reality. There's an aspect to being intoxicated that makes you more yourself. You say exactly what you think and do exactly what you want because you're unconstrained by the rules of the daytime stage. However, the theater of the night has rules too. Rules which may be even more constraining. The instrumental section after the chorus of the song is warped and sounds like it's underwater. Lorde and her peers are dancing to the drowned out versions of themselves, and Lorde is rising from the water while continuing to fall deeper into it. Liability is Lorde's soliloquy of self-awareness. The entire song is played only on a piano, which throughout the album is the instrument of self-awareness. The songs that primarily have piano in them, Greenlight, Liability, Rider in the Dark, and Perfect Places, are the songs that connect Lorde's revelations about where she is and who she is. In Liability, Lorde grieves that she is only wanted when she is performing, but no one wants someone who's always on the stage. She can't win because she's either trying to escape the inauthentic world of partying or she's too immersed in it. People want her to be a character that's not true to who she really is, and when she breaks that character, they leave. The truth is that I'm a toy that people enjoy till all the tricks don't work anymore, and then they're bored of me. I know that it's exciting, running through the night, but every perfect summer is eating me alive until you're gone. Better off on my own. Lorde is left only with herself behind the mask. So I guess I'll go home into the arms of the girl that I love, the only love I haven't screwed up. She's so hard to please, but she's a forest fire. I'll do my best to meet her demands, play at romance, we slow dance in the living room, but all that a stranger would see is one girl swaying alone, stroking her cheek. The song ends with Lorde talking to both the audience and the other characters. They're gonna watch me disappear into the sun. You're all gonna watch me disappear into the sun. Lorde is going to find the light, have the revelation everyone has been trying to have, and enter into it without the people who haven't done the work to get there. But along with this, like walking off into a sunset, she's going to find her happy ending out of sight. A pivotal part of Greek plays was not only to tell an interesting story, but to give the audience of Greeks a sort of catharsis or possible conclusion about their current world. Theater was never a closed-off story to enjoy, but an interactive experience that presented persuasive arguments and ideas about current political, philosophical, and moral questions that were being dealt with in society. In Liability, Lorde gets at an important aspect of being young in this generation, the desire to please people heightened by social media. There's a struggle like never before for young people to go to inauthentic lengths in order to feel seen, loved, and worthwhile to people. In Liability, Lorde explains this struggle, but ends with the idea that you can love yourself for all that you are, rather than being a toy for people who will eventually get bored of you. The interplay of Lorde's character and this generation's character continues in Hard Feelings / Loveless. I used to be confused as to why these songs were stuck together, until I realized. Hard Feelings is the specific story that explains the bigger story of Loveless. Hard Feelings relays Lorde's breakup, coming down from the passion and heat into the cold quiet of winter. The story is the story of growing up and a meta-narrative of the entire plot of Melodrama. Hard feelings, these are what they call hard feelings of love, when the sweet words and fevers all leave us right here in the cold, alone with the hard feelings of love. In the party performance, there are no hard feelings, because every honest sentiment is swallowed with a chaser. But Lorde's experience of losing a love that seemed so real but ended up being so superficial gave her hard feelings of love itself. In the second verse, she says, I light all the candles, got flowers for all my rooms. I care for myself the way I used to care about you. Lorde goes through the rituals of death and rebirth, of love and loss. Lighting candles and putting up flowers are a self-love routine, but also a funeral rite. The death of her youthful relationship must happen before she can recreate those same symbols of loss into symbols of loving herself, who will always be there after the party is over. These days we kiss and we keep busy. The waves come after midnight. I call from underwater. Why even try to get right? When you've outgrown a lover, the whole world knows but you. It's time to let go of this endless summer afternoon. Lorde comments on this generation and how they deal with hard feelings. The party culture is put in place for people who want to have a revelation about how to move forward and believe they can find that by mindlessly moving forward. When the music dies down and Loveless starts, Lorde goes from her specific instance to a full commentary about our generation. Bet you want to rip my heart out? Bet you want to skip my calls now? Well, guess what? I like that. 'Cause I'm gonna mess your life up, gonna want to tape my mouth shut. Look out, lovers. We're LOVELESS generation. All fucking with our lovers' heads generation. Lorde enters again with a theater chorus, singing in a mocking, cold voice. This generation of youth has more divorced parents than ever before. Fear of commitment, fear of rejection, and fear of loss gives young people a fear of love itself. This fear drives them to leave the authentic vulnerability of emotion and instead dance carelessly about removed sentiments. We take joy in the idea of messing someone's life up and laugh at the thought of someone skipping our calls and taping our mouth shut. We would rather do that than experience the harsh and empty winter of love that many have witnessed in their parents, friends, and in their own life. Loveless is the song of the party performance generation. Your first romance is bright and blazing, a rush of passion that inevitably ends, although it feels like it will last forever. When the passion leaves, what is there? That's the question Lorde asks about her love in this song, and the question she asks about her life in this album. When the party dies down, who will be there for you, and who will you be? Sober 2/Melodrama asked this question even more deeply. Lorde said in an interview about this song, quote, "How heartbreaking is it when the lights are on, after you spent however many hours in this dark room and gotten to know it for its darkness?" End quote. Some of the last lines of Sober are, "Can you feel it? Can you feel it? Dancing with us." So Sober 2 begins with the answer to that question. You ask if I was feeling it. I'm psycho high. No, you won't remember in the morning when I speak my mind. Lights are on and they've gone home, but who am I? Just like as I mentioned about the Louvre, the party scene swallows any authentic expression of yourself in the name of being free enough to be yourself. If Lorde speaks her mind in a moment of clarity, it will be forgotten in the morning. Like the empty quiet after a song or the broken world after a war, turning the lights on when the party is over is a harrowing self-actualization. Like in Hard Feelings, the room after the party is like the winter of a summer afternoon love. It's cold and bare, and everything that made you love it is gone. We told you this was melodrama. Oh, how fast the evening passes. Cleaning up the champagne glasses. Our only wish is melodrama. Oh, how fast the evening passes, cleaning up the champagne glasses. Melodrama is defined as a sensational dramatic piece with exaggerated characters and exciting events intended to appeal to the emotions. This party world of passionate romance, violent colors, and loud music is a performance that the audience and the listeners expected. But the performance must end, and there's an unsettling nature to both the characters and the audience realizing that. Oh, how fast the evening passes, cleaning up the champagne glasses is sung by Lorde in the background vocals, bringing back the chorus role again. All the gunfights and the limelights and the holy, sick, divine nights. They'll talk about us, all the lovers, how we kiss and kill each other. They'll talk about us and discover how we kissed and killed each other. We told you this was melodrama. You wanted something that we offer. Like the violent, bizarre plots of ancient Greek theater, the crowd came to be entertained, and so did Lorde. But like the party scene, Lorde spends the entire performance slowly turning around to the audience and asking them why they came and what they'll do when it's over. In Redder in the Dark, which I can't listen to without furiously weeping, we get a really interesting perspective shift than from where Lorde is in the rest of the album. She says, "Bet you'll rue the day you kissed a writer in the dark." Now she's gonna play and sing and lock you in her heart. Bet you rue the day you kissed a writer in the dark. Lorde isn't only a participant in the performance of melodrama. She is the creator of it. Her lover came to be entertained, but the joke is on him when Lorde spins him into a character others will be entertained by. Lorde can do to others what they did to her in Liability. make them a character of her own devices. Being a sentimental creative person is equally a blessing as it is a curse. On the one hand, you can make art that helps you to process your emotions and experiences, but on the other hand, you amplify your emotions and experiences when you turn them into art, making them affect you even more. No one is safe in the eyes and heart of a writer, and the stories Lorde is able to tell are a threat to both herself and those in them. In the song, we see Lorde's most piercingly vulnerable moment when she sings, "I am my mother's child, I'll love you till my breathing stops, I'll love you till you call the cops on me. But in our darkest hours, I stumbled on a secret power. I'll find a way to be without you, babe." Lorde leaves the performance of masks and swallowed emotion to say exactly how she feels. In her darkest hours, either in the party scene at night or in her most difficult emotional places, she finds the strength to move past the pain of her failed relationship. During these lines, you can see the singing chorus weeping with her. In Supercut, we see the pinnacle of the relationship, only a supercut. In a world that is only a bright, violent performance, the only thing left when it's over is a montage of the plot. Her love was on the stage of youth, which Lorde must exit. In Sober, she says, "I'm acting like I don't see every ribbon you use to tie yourself to me." And in Supercut, she says, "And in my head, the visions never stop. These ribbons wrap me up, but when I reach for you, there's just a supercut." The reasons that her lover stayed with her, and the memories between the two of them, are no longer something she can pretend to not see, because they are all she sees. However, the sadness is not the loss of something, but the lack of something she realizes she might have never had. It was all on a stage, and what does she have when she exits that stage and learns to let go of the ribbon? We also see in the song Lorde realizing who her character really is. "In my head, I do everything right," because in reality, she didn't. She can't stick up her middle finger at her ex and paint herself to be a person that she was not. She bears fault in the relationship, and both her character and her real self had flaws. In Liability Reprise, we get a brilliant breakthrough. Lorde starts off by admitting that she is in fact a liability, and that's a side effect of the stage she's been performing on. "All the dreams that get harder, all the things that I offer you, and all the shit that we harbor, make all of the kids in the choir sing woohoo." Lorde is here for our entertainment, breaking the final wall between her and the audience. She shows how all of the real pain and drama in her life make for great songs kids in the choir will sing along with. But then Lorde asks, what is real? Maybe all this is the party. Maybe the tears and the highs we breathe. Maybe all this is the party. Maybe we just do it violently. Maybe the party isn't the moments where they swallow their pain and their authenticity, where they dance through what they're actually going through. But maybe the party that they've been waiting for is the highs and lows of how they've been living. Like ancient Greek theater, maybe the purpose of the performance is not to escape the violent highs and lows of reality by over-dramatizing them, but to see reality clearly. Maybe life is a series of entering and exiting performances and deciding who we are despite the stage we step onto. The last lines of the song have multiple layers. But you're not what you thought you were. 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 We can think of Lorde as talking both to herself and to the audience. In one sense, there's a moment of growing up where you realize that you are who you are regardless of the character people want you to play. Lorde is realizing this about herself, but also asking the audience to realize it about themselves. In the final song on the album, Perfect Places, it seems almost as if she's slipping back into the persona she was in Sober and Homemade Dynamite, self-aware participation. However, it's exactly the opposite. Lorde relays the party lifestyle and the performance of forgetting yourself. Every night I live and die, feel the party to my bones. Watch the wasters blow the speakers, spill my guts beneath the outer light. It's just another graceless night. I hate the headlines and the weather, I'm 19 and I'm on fire. But when we're dancing, I'm alright. It's just another graceless night. In the chorus, we get an overlook of the entire plot of Melodrama, like the final song of a theater production that combines musical motifs of all the songs and gives a final lesson to take away from the plot. All of the things we're taking because we were young and we're ashamed bring us to perfect places. All of our heroes fading, now I can't stand to be alone, let's go to perfect places. Lorde and her peers enter this performance in an attempt to have an epiphany about reality and find a perfect place because of their fear and pain in the real world. But they got lost in the performance and lost in their purpose for entering it. In the last stanza of the song, she sings again with a theater chorus. All the nights spent off our faces, trying to find these perfect places. What the fuck are perfect places anyway? These perfect places that she searched for, that we're all searching for, don't exist. The perfect party is merely an act, and stepping off of the stage will leave you facing the pain and emptiness of reality. But as she said in Liability Reprise, maybe this is the party. Maybe the perfect place doesn't exist, and so it is in some ways whatever place we're in. Lorde ends this song in this album without the theater chorus. She sings with a dry voice, alone. All the nights spent off our faces, trying to find these perfect places. What the fuck are perfect places anyway? Melodrama gives us a story for our generation. While Lorde mourns the loss of a part of herself, we cry for what we've left behind. While Lorde learns how to leave, we learn how to walk with her. While Lorde asks herself who she is, we ask ourselves who we are. This album is interwoven with many different strands of beauty and significance for its listeners, and it gives its audience a lasting emotional movement that leaves them weeping and laughing far past the exit sign. Now, the only question left in comparing Melodrama to ancient Greek theater is this: is Melodrama a comedy or a tragedy? I've always heard that a tragedy ends in death and a comedy ends in a wedding. Although Melodrama is a story about freedom and renewal, it's also a story about the final death of a season of Lorde's life. The album shares a lot of characteristics with ancient Greek tragedies, like its gory and heartbreaking scenes and its struggle with moral questions. There are many bizarre Greek tragedies, like Oedipus Rex, in which Oedipus kills his estranged father and marries his mother. When he realizes he did this, as you would imagine, he spirals into madness and eventually gouges out his eyes and banishes himself into the wilderness. Another famous Greek tragedy is Antigone, in which Antigone fights to give her brother a proper burial, which the king prohibits her from doing because of her brother's treason. The king eventually has a change of heart, but finds that Antigone has already hung herself. And the king's son, who's in love with Antigone, kills himself. And the king's wife, out of despair over her son, kills herself. Basically, it's a lot of murder-suicide. These stories seem bizarre to us at first glance, when in reality, they're about us. All of these stories are about people struggling with who they know they are, who others want them to be, and who they want to be. These are stories about how ignoring our flaws leads always and ultimately to our demise, and how who we decide to listen to is our most important decision. In Sophocles' Greek tragedy Ajax, the war hero Achilles has been killed in battle, leaving the now greatest warrior Ajax, who believes he should have Achilles' armor, but is denied it by King Agamemnon and Menelaus, who give it instead to Odysseus. This leads Ajax into a manic killing frenzy in order to exact his revenge. A lot of really bad things happen, and nobody ends up happy. Near the end, Ajax's wife talks to the chorus about her husband's state. "I'm afraid that some god struck him down, for his anguish grows as his sanity returns." It is true, but still hard to understand. How did his madness first take hold of him? Tell us. We will stay and share in the pain. Greek tragedies aren't about scaring us into being good people, but about the complex and often dark reality of human nature and the hope empathy provides. Lorde is telling us her story by telling us our own. The album ends, like Greek tragedies, in a moral lesson that is inconclusive. We see the revelation Lorde arrived at, but we don't know what she'll do after the last song ends. Lorde, acting as the chorus, offers her story, her pain, and her hope, in order to share in our story, our pain, and in turn, give us hope. Who knows what Lorde will do after she leaves the performance? And who knows what we'll do after we leave our seats? But I know one thing. I'll be back and ready to laugh, cry, and love whenever Lorde's next great tragedy is ready for the stage.